Hi, this is Michael Benjamin Jacobson. Here's a t-shirt. I am gifted in unusual ways. So that's one of my t-shirts I like to wear. Okay, this is a video about Saturday. Donald Trump made an unscheduled visit to Walter Reid Hospital amid fears that he'd been poisoned because he's food tested, a person who tastes the food of the president to prevent poisoning, like they can do these days, fell gravely ill. And so the president was rushed to hospital and made an unscheduled visit without warning outside of his regular schedule to check for toxins and check for any evidence of him being poisoned. And that's really scary to hear something like that. And so I've included the news video about that subject down below. Apparently InfoWars reported it, but I've got a report here that I looked up and I've put in the description tag. Okay, so the second half of this, let me tell you, Trump is in for this term, the 2020 term. He's going to go a full 4 years in the next term, and got reason to believe a lot of hard stuff is going to happen in America next year, and you really would like someone who can bark orders and get things started next year. The emergencies happen next year, like I think. Do you like these? I'm going to put these up on my wall when I get enough money. You know, there's that one. There's this one. And there's this one. A friend of mine painted these and gave them to me as a gift. So they're going to be up on the wall here soon when I get some blue tech and able to put them up. Okay, so it's very scary, you know, that Donald Trump could have been killed. But I will assure you, not one assassin, not one attack, Trump is not going to lose his life in the next 5 years. He's going to go his full term. And even if all sorts of tragedy happens next year, like my friend Orty has prophesied, and I'll put Orty's prophecy in the link below down here if this is the first time you've been to my channel and you want to see what prophetically might happen next year in the United States of America, which is really worrisome. I encourage you to go and have a look at that prophecy. Now I'm going to get on to one of my favourite subjects. I've got a friend, Mary Gibson, who's read all my books, and she would have heard this story. But like any good story, it's good to hear the story again. And so a food taster is, in ancient times, what they call in the Bible a cupbearer. And I didn't know this when I had this encounter, but in the story of Joseph, I think a baker and a cupbearer were put in jail with him, and he interpreted the dreams. One of them died according to their dream, and one of them lived. And I think the cupbearer lived. And a cupbearer was like a personal valet to a king, like a servant. Plus, he tasted the wine and ate the food. So he basically put his life on the line to save the king. If someone was trying to kill the king, the cupbearer would die. Now, when you think of that, that's like a really responsible position. And it's like a martyr's position. In other words, you're putting your life on the line to save the king. It's not everyone would sign up for that job. And ancient kings had that role. And after I explained this encounter, my mother told me what what cupbearer meant. I didn't know the full understanding about the fact that he ate the meals and drank the wine before the king and put his life on the line. I didn't know that's what cupbearer meant. I just thought it was like the closest servant to a king. And so one day, many years ago, over 15 years ago, I was in the city of Sydney. I was underground in an eatery. We'd been up all night, me and a friend who had a Jezebel spirit. That it turns out that he's done a lot of bad things against my life since then. But at the time, he was friends. There's not many people that can talk more than me, but he could. And I was listening to him talk, and it was Valentine's Day, and the whole room filled up with angels. I could see angels when they appear. Well, I don't always see angels. I can only see them when the Holy Spirit allows them to manifest to me. Or wherever I go, there's thousands of angels around me now. I've got a personal honor guard. But back then, I didn't have all these angels around me. And I can't see the angels now that are always around me, but other people will see them if they want to threaten me. And so I'm sitting here in this food court. My friend is facing me, talking to me. All these angels turn up. I said, what's going on? To the Lord. And the Lord said, we just thought we'd bring you some angels. And said to my friend, can you shut up at the moment? I want to talk to the Lord, and there's a whole, the whole food court is just filled with angels behind you, and I want to see what's going on. So can you still be quiet? He turned around and he looked for a second. He said, I can't see anything. I said, that's because you're not spiritual aware. His name was John Underwood. If you want to pray for him, he's got a very heavy duty Jezebel spirit. He definitely needs to be crushed by the Lord. Brought to a point where he'll be delivered of the spirit. So, do some prayer and fasting for this guy. So he turned around, he paused for about half a second, said, I can't see anything, and went on and started talking. Well, I just zoned him out. A lot of people zoned me out, so I know what that's all about. But I zoned him out, and I asked the Lord, so what's going on? And the Lord, I said, why are the angels here? And the Lord said, it's Valentine's Day, Matthew, and you're special to me, and this is my treat, my way of saying I love you. And so Jesus said, can you see on the left-hand side, on the third row of seats, on the aisle seat facing you, can you see that angel? And I said, yeah. He said, he's waving at you now. Waved at him. I said, yeah. And he said, he's my cupbearer. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I said, so he's like your personal servant. And Jesus said, yeah. He said, he's always with me. You haven't seen him before, but he's always with me. He serves me. And I said, oh, that's interesting. So I talked to my friend, and there's a nice peace and a presence of the Lord. It's actually called glory. The glory of the Lord started to rest on me. I didn't know what glory was back then. It's just a stronger presence of the Lord than normal. So it's very peaceful. And for people who haven't experienced the presence or being in the glory, if you've smoked marijuana, it's like being stoned. And so this heavy peace settled on me. As we left, I got up and I said to my friend, wait here, and I put my arm around the cupbearer. I said, I really love you, man. Thank you for meeting me. He said, it's so good to meet you, Matthew, and talk to you. And I said, oh, you really blessed me, man. I want your job. And he says, well, I got the job, mate. It's my job. And I said, I'm going to get your job. And so I went off, and as I left, the angels started leaving their seats and coming with us. I said, that's interesting. About 100 meters later, my friend was saying, did you see that? And I said, what? He said, oh, nothing. And he said, did you see that? And I said, what? And he said, everyone's staring at you, man. Everyone we passed locks eyes and stares at you for some reason. And I said, well, that's because those angels are with me. They're walking with us. And, I'm standing out. I'm sort of maybe my skin is shining or something to them. He says, your skin isn't shining. I said, yeah, it says you, but they're obviously looking at something, aren't they? You're the one who brought it to my attention. You know, over the years, I've reflected on all my encounters with Jesus, my encounters with Michael, saints and everything. That is my very favorite encounter. And you know, Jesus knows. Jesus knows. Jesus knows that I place his encounter more than any of the encounters I've had with Jesus over the hundreds of them. And this cupbearer has just turned up and standing in my corner here and waving at me. And he's saying, hi, Michael, my new name. And so that was wonderful. And the reason why it was my favorite encounter, sorry, I haven't been looking at the camera. The reason why it was my favorite encounter, because up until that point, I'd never identified what job I'd like to be promoted to in heaven. And when I met him, that's who I wanted to be. Imagine being the personal angel that laid out the clothes for Jesus, got his coffee, got his drinks, arranged his suits, arranged his appointments, like the PA, like personal valet, not even the PA, arranging flights and all sort of stuff I don't want to do, but, you know, just being the personal guy, laying in a towel out, helping Jesus get dressed, always being in his presence, always being at his conferences, every time he speaks, being there, just be the closest, most dependable person to Jesus. Like that would be my favorite job in the universe. And so the reason I love this cupbearer is he had my job. He's got the job I wanted. And so, yeah. The cupbearer just told me something, you know, and that's why I know he's here. He said, I know I was a former angel, and if people have been listening to my videos, I know that revelation. You know, my most furthest back encounter that I know of was I was the angel who was Mary Magdalene's guardian angel, and I got promoted after that into a high place in heaven, so did Mary. And the cupbearer said, for a time, even though I was an archangel with Michael, for a time I served Jesus and I was the cupbearer. And so the reason why I feel so drawn to his job, and I did back then, was because I'd done that job for a while and traveled everywhere with Jesus. And it's amazing. And so years later, a couple of years later, I was in the city in McDonald's. I'm often in McDonald's. I often used to be in my books. And I was in McDonald's and Jesus came in. Michael the Archangel came in and the other cupbearer came in. He's actually got two cupbearers and the other one's just turned up. And so this is the first time I've seen them both together. And Jesus must be here and Jesus is here. And he likes his story. He's come to listen to the stories. And so both the cupbearers have met both of them, and it's just a favourite thing. Yeah. The reason why I brought this story is their job. They don't have to protect Jesus from being poisoned anymore. Their job is merely just to serve the King. And the reason why I even talking about this story is because Donal Trumps, food taster, which is like his cupbearer, was gravely ill, and it concerned the Trump administration that Donald Trump had to be checked. So I hope you enjoyed this story. Press the thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed to my channel, and share this with your friends. It's a nice, light-hearted story. Perhaps I'm not trying to boast or say anything that I'm someone amazing, but if you think this will encourage one of your friends, go ahead and share this story. It'll certainly be interesting for them to hear that Trump was almost poisoned. God bless you and keep you, and I'd love to hear your comments.